guys, and welcome to the In the Game Room podcast. My name is Alan and I am in the game room. I've just finished doing a setup here so that I could take some pictures of my miniatures and some of my buildings and things like that, so that's why this is all set up. Haven't run a game in a couple of weeks. The last time I ran a game was over at my friend Chris's house, and we ran bolt action over at his place, so that was pretty cool. But I haven't ran any games in a little while. But that's about to change next week because I'm heading to Gen Con, and I'll definitely get some gaming in there. I'm going to talk about Gen Con a little bit in a minute. First, let me get a couple of little business things out of the way. I want to talk to you guys about a couple of new products. You know, in most of my videos I'll talk about a new product for my site, get that out of the way, and then we'll move on to the fun stuff. But I want to show you guys a couple of things that I think you might find interesting, especially for workbench organization and for your painting. This here is a workbench light. Plug this power supply in, and as you can see, it's very bright. What this is good for, well, first of all, I designed this light as an add-on to my paint stations. You may have seen that before. I think I did a video on the paint station light. It goes onto the paint station, and when you're sitting there working on small figures or whatever it is you're working on, this light hits your figure from most angles. Of course, it doesn't hit from over here, but it hits from most of the angles, and it really eliminates shadows on what you're working on, and it makes painting your figures or vehicles or whatever you're working on, makes painting them a lot easier because you can really see what you're doing. So I had the one for the portable painting station. It's been very popular, people love it, but not everybody has a portable painting station. So what I did was I created one with the little stands here that you could just literally set down anywhere, just like I've done here. You can set it on your workbench, you can set it on your desk, your paint booth, wherever you happen to be working at the time, you can set this thing down and it gives you tons of light. Now this particular version here, this is the first time anybody's seen this right now. This has two strips of LEDs in it side by side, so it's about I think it's about 1.25 inches wide. This is a new version that I haven't even released yet. The standard version just has one strip of LED lights in it, and it's about 3/4 inch wide, I think, across here. The one with one single strip of LED lights in it is definitely bright enough. It works great. I've been using mine for almost a year now, I think, on my painting station. But I really like a lot of light. And somebody ordered my workbench paint light, workbench light with a single strip in it, and he ordered 2 of them because he said he likes a lot of light too. So he's going to put one here and another one right next to it. That way he'll have light coming from all these different directions. And that got me thinking, why don't I just make one that has 2 strips in it? So that's what I've done. Like I said, the one that has a single strip of lights on it is fine, but if you really like a lot of light, this thing here, I'm showing the camera now, this produces a lot of light, and I really like it. So that's a new product. It's available on the website. The single strip version is available on the website now. And now that I'm telling you about this, I probably ought to put this online as well, and I probably will by the time you see this. So there's that. The portable workbench LED light. Comes pre-assembled, by the way. Both versions, the double wide and the single wide, come completely pre-assembled with the lights in, all the soldering done and everything. The only thing you need to do is just attach this little base with some white glue or wood glue. And the reason for that is, if this was on, it would just make it so much more difficult to ship because it would be, you know, this big instead of that big. So these come separate. But the light is in there, this bit's assembled, the soldering's done at this end, it's all ready to plug and play. So enough on that. Another item I'm working on right now, this is really cool. This here is a landing craft in 28mm. That's the door that goes on the front of it. There is a wheelhouse that goes here. I'm still working on finalizing everything on this. Well, that's just kind of stuck in there for the moment. Probably won't stay, but that's the door that comes down in the front. It is all laser cut mostly MDF. There's a couple of 3D printed parts, which will probably, I was thinking of resin casting them, but I think it's going to be like an optional detail kit where you actually get the 3D printed parts. They're the engine room vent stacks that go here. They may go back a little further. I can't remember exactly where they go. And I don't know if you can see this. It's a small lifeboat that can go on top of the wheelhouse, or it can go on the side. There'll probably be a couple of these included. And there's a few more minor details that I need to make for this. But this is going to be a really cool 28mm landing craft, the LCT-5, and should be really cool for like bolt action scenarios and things like that. So this is something I'm working on. It's almost done. This particular model you're looking at here is kind of a well, in the software world, you'd probably call it an alpha version or a beta version. I've been building it as I'm designing parts, and I make changes to the parts, and then I test them, and if they work, you know, then it's good and the part's finalized. If not, I make modifications to it. So this has been kind of a work in progress, but now I've gotten it to this point, and everything's working fine and everything's fitting together real nice. What I'll do is I'll cut another kit, I'll build it on video, so I'll have an instructional video, so I don't have to actually make a printed instruction sheet on how to put this together. I'll build it on video, and then I'll be able to release this as a product. Because I still have a few more parts to design, and I don't know how long it takes to cut all this yet. I haven't come up with a price yet for this, but I'm going to keep it as reasonable as I can, just like everything else I make. So I want people to be able to afford it and buy it and enjoy it. So this will be real cool when it comes out, and it'll probably be in about 2 weeks, because next week I'm away at Gen Con, and then when I get back, that's when I'll cut one and make the video and then put it online. I think that's about all we need to say about that. Just I've told you about 8 times how cool it is, but I think you can see that. And it's pretty big. It's 27 inches long, and it has a beam of about 8 inches. So that'll be a real fun kit. Like I said, I'm going to try to keep it real reasonable as far as the pricing goes, and we'll get that online as soon as I can. Last thing I want to show you that I'm working on for the company, or have already worked on, just a little organization product for your workbench. I've made these shelves. You might recognize these if you've spent any time on the website. These are very similar to the shelves that go over the paint racks that I make. They're slightly modified. These are meant to go up on the wall, wherever you happen to have your workspace. They've got some holes at the top here and at the bottom here, so you can put screws or nails through. You can mount them, you know, anywhere on the wall. You can double stack them if you like. This one here has very tall shelves. This will fit like Vallejo paints in there and other things. These shelves here are very, very narrow. They're not very tall. So these are meant for much smaller items. I have a feeling this one's going to be much more popular, but if you have a lot of smaller items you need to store and you want 6 shelves instead of 3, then this guy will work out great for you. All the shelves have lips on the front and back that are about a ½ inch tall, so whatever you put in there is probably not going to roll out. And this one here is just another 3-shelf version, exactly twice as wide, 20 inches wide instead of 10 inches wide. And these were actually requested by a customer and a good friend of mine, Harold. He wanted to put this one across the back of his workstation. Whoa! I didn't mean to do that. And then this one, he has a workstation that has a wall sort of like this. So he wanted to put these 2 in the corner, which give him a lot of workspace there, or storage space. So anyways, those are on the site now. You can go check those out if you want. So let me get these out of the way. That's enough of the GameCraft business. Okay, what I want to talk about now is a little bit of a tool tip. There was a time about a month ago, I think, where I went on Facebook and went to one of the Facebook groups for model makers and miniature makers, and I asked a question. And I think I talked about this on a previous podcast also. I asked a question to people, what was their favorite sprue cutter? Seems like a simple thing. It's a little thing that looks like a pair of pliers, and it has a snipper on the end, and it cuts off sprues. But I have about 6 or 7 different sprue cutters that I bought from different brands, and frankly most of them are crap. The bits that come together to cut, sometimes they don't match up, they overlap, and they end up breaking the part off instead of cutting it, or they don't cut very close to the part. And so I asked, like, what is your favorite one and why? And I got a lot of different comments. Some of them were like, yeah, I don't care, I'll just buy anything, it doesn't matter. But a few of them mentioned some very high quality pieces that were, frankly, they're a little expensive. But I got a couple of people, including a friend of mine, Harold. I think this is your second mention this podcast, Harold. Him and some other people recommended a sprue cutter made by Tamiya. So I thought, well, a couple of people have voted for this thing, so I'm going to actually give it a try. This is it here. I'll post up a picture somewhere. I always say this, I don't know where it's going to show up, but there'll be a picture. This little sprue cutter here from Tamiya was, I want to say it was around 30 bucks. It ain't cheap. Most cheap sprue cutters you can get for like $5 or less. This one was like around 30. It's so good that I bought 2 of them, okay? This thing is awesome. Not only does it make a nice cut, but it makes a very flush cut. If you are, I don't have any sprues laying around here, but if you're cutting a part off a sprue and you cut the part off and then look at it after you've cut it off, there's always a little bit of a nub left there that you need to, clean up with an X-Acto knife or a file or a bit of sandpaper or something. This thing cuts so flush and so close and so clean that a lot of times you won't have to even touch it after you cut it. You just cut it off the sprue and that part is ready for priming and painting. And not every single time, mind you. It depends on, its technique and everything. But this, if you take the time and try hard, this cutter is capable of cutting parts off perfectly flush. So in that way, I think it's worth the crazy price of 30 bucks. This is one of those tools that hopefully you'll buy once and never have to buy again. Or I bought it twice, because I do a lot of work in my office, in my house, and then I do work in my shop. And when I find a tool I like, I don't like to have it in one place and not the other, or I'll be running back and forth. So when I find a tool that I like, I get 2 of them for that reason. So that's what I've done. So this is the Tamiya sprue cutter. I'll post a picture of it, and I'll post a link to Amazon where you can get one if you're crazy enough to spend 30 bucks on a tiny little tool like this, like I am, or 60 if you buy 2. 2 for the price of 2. Okay, next I want to talk about something completely different from everything I normally play. This is the Beyond the Gates of Antares 28mm sci-fi skirmish game. Now, believe it or not, I bought this game probably about a month ago. I pulled the shrink wrap off it, and I have shown incredible restraint by not opening this box. I have yet to open this box. So I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to see what's inside, and I'm going to give you my first impressions. Fortunately, I'm so busy that avoiding opening a box is actually pretty easy for me. I kind of forgot about it for a little while, but now, here we go. So there we go. There's the box art for it. Very cool looking. So the first thing you notice when you open this, the first thing I'm noticing when I open this, is that it comes with a rule book. And not just any rule book, a big ass hardcover thick rule book. This is no slouch here. Some games, when you buy a starter pack, they'll have a smaller version of the rule book, and sometimes that's useful. The one that came with Bolt Action, the Band of Brothers starter set, is actually probably about 3/4 this size and soft cover, which is kind of handy to have on the table. So no complaints there. But this is cool that they give you the full-on book that has a doesn't even say, does it? No, it doesn't say a price, but I'm sure it's about a $40 value by itself. Anywho, just a quick flip through. The artwork is really cool. Yeah, it's pretty much what you would expect from a book from Warlord Games. A lot of cool artwork and stuff in there. So there is that. And then again, another callback to Bolt Action. Bolt Action came with a cardboard kind of quick reference sheet that you can cut out. This does the exact same thing. Just cut these tabs off and you got a nice quick reference sheet to leave on the table. So kind of once you know the rules, then these I guess are probably the things you need while playing. Describes all the orders, reactions, moves, standard, fast, slow, accuracy modifiers, break tests, which I'm sure are probably like a morale test, resist modifiers, assaults, all the things you kind of need to play the game. Oh, and then, all right, there we go. Tons of sprues of guys. Before we do that, let's look at these. These are, as I suspected, standard Bolt Action activation dice. Yeah, or what we call order dice in that game. I'm not sure. Looks like they might be called order dice here too. So I don't know why I said activation dice. There's 3, 6, 7, 8 of the green ones, 4 gray, and a black. I don't know what the significance of the colors are, but standard order dice. And then there's some other, looks like 10-sided, percentile, is that a 2-sided die? I have never seen this before in my life. It's a 3-sided die. Okay, so you don't have to roll a d6 and do math. You actually have a 3-sided die. I have 4-sided, 8, 6. Okay, so just random dice in there. Here's a metal figure. That must be like just a special freebie with the set. I don't know what these clear things are. And then just a shit ton of miniatures. Looks like some templates, arcs or something, blast radius templates. They're hit markers. These are the exact same ones that come in Bolt Action. These, however, are not. These are something completely different. Something down here in the bottom too. Oh, cool. This is, again, a lot like Bolt Action, a quick start guide. This will probably take you through a couple of turns. Yep, there's turn 1. There's turn 2. And then at some point they probably set you loose and say, just keep on playing. And then there's a bit of an assembly guide for the guys. So, because it's Warlord, it's the same company that does Bolt Action. They've kind of done, it looks like they've done a lot of things the same way, which that is not a problem because that's a cool game and it's well made. And so it looks like they've kind of followed the same idea. So that's that. I don't know anything about the game yet, so I can't really give you any impressions of how it plays or how to play it or anything like that, but that's just the sort of first impressions of what's in the box. It all looks like good stuff. I didn't really go into the sprues at all, but everything looks really cool. It looks like the bodies and the arms and the legs and heads are all separate, so you've probably got a lot of different options for different poses and things like that. So just based on this sort of first initial look, I would say it looks really cool, and I'm looking forward to getting into it. I sent one of these to a friend of mine, and his son apparently has already read the entire book and knows how to play the game. So at some point pretty soon we're going to have to sit down and play this. This picture on the back here, if you can see it, shows what comes inside. Maybe I'll post a picture of that also so you can see that. And it explains everything that's in there. There's the 290-page book, quick start book, quick reference sheet, the exclusive metal Concord Strike Leader figure. That was that one metal figure I found. 20 plastic Concord Strike Troopers, 4 plastic Concord Support Drones. Oh, those look pretty cool. 8 plastic Spotter Drones, 3 plastic GAR Battle Squad Walkers, and 3 GAR assault squad walkers. So there's 3 battle squad walkers and 3 assault squad walkers, so 6 of the big walkers on the GAR side. Plastic templates, shot tokens, and pin markers, order dice, and polyhedral dice. That's what's in there. So that's pretty cool. This, of course, is on our website also, on gcmini.com. We sell this, and we sell all of the accessories for it, all the add-on, all the guys and ships and everything that you can buy for this. So that's all there for you. So I want to talk for just a second about upcoming conventions. Next week on Wednesday, I'm flying out to Indianapolis for Gen Con. I'm going to be there all weekend, or the end of the week through the weekend. This is Gen Con's 50th year anniversary and my 3rd year in a row of going. It's going to be huge. It's always huge, but because it's the 50th, it's extra big. I believe they've sold out of most days, and I don't think they've ever done that before. The way they figure how many tickets they can sell is by the physical capacity of the building and what the fire marshals will allow. So they only have so many tickets they can sell. I don't know what that number is. I want to say it's somewhere around like 100,000. It's a crazy number of people. So there's going to be a crazy number of people there. So that'll be really fun. I'm going to get some gaming in. Of course, I'm going to play bolt action because that's what I've been playing lately. But I'm going to see a lot of stuff from a lot of different companies, a lot of different games and stuff like that. So I know if you're watching this video, you might be saying, well, the last couple of months has been nothing but bolt action. Well, it's, you know, it's kind of what I'm into right now, and that's kind of what this video series is about. It's about what I'm playing and what I'm building and stuff like that. So it has been a lot of bolt action lately, and I realize that. So what I'm saying is, next week when I'm at Gen Con, I'm going to see a lot of different stuff. So if you're looking for something a little different, stay tuned. Next week there's going to be a lot of content. I'll probably be making videos every single day that I'm there. I'm not going to release them every single day. I'll probably save them up so I can release them over the next couple of weeks or so. And I'll be doing some audio podcasts as well. I might be doing some interviews with people. I've got a couple of people that I already know I'm going to stop by and visit. I'm going to see my buddy Jim Wapple. He's a very well-known figure and vehicle painter, or just painter in general. He's awesome. He's going to be there, I believe. I don't want to misspeak which booth he's going to be at, but I know where it is. I have it written down, and I'm going to go see him and talk to him. So there'll probably be a little bit of an interview there with him. It's going to be an amazing show. It always is. Well, I've only been there twice before, but it's always been amazing, and this year is supposed to be even more amazing. In addition to the convention center itself, which is massive, there are several hotels that are connected, and there's going to be events in all of those, and that's normal. This year is so big, they've expanded again onto the stadium next door, Lucas Oil Stadium. There's going to be several events there. I don't know if that's going to be indoor space or actually out on the fields. I don't know what that's all about. But I know there's so many events going on that they actually had to get a stadium to accommodate all these extra events. So that's going to be pretty awesome. So watch for a lot of content coming in the next week or so from there. And hopefully I'll bring you guys a lot of new products and you know, new games and things like that. This is sitting here because getting back to bolt action again, this is actually my next kind of big project for bolt action, and that is this is the 1,000 point starter army of the US Marines. The reason why I'm doing this is kind of a funny story. Well, not funny, but it's a story. You decide if it's funny. When we got into bolt action, me and my buddy Chris, we bought the Band of Brothers box. I'm pointing to it. You can't see it, but it's over there, believe me. We bought the Band of Brothers set, and I painted up all the German figures, and he painted up all the American figures. And that was kind of my plan from the beginning. I'd be the Germans, he'll be the Americans. And that's how it's worked out so far. We've been playing that way. But if I'm being completely honest, I didn't get a lot of joy out of painting the Germans. I don't know why. Maybe secretly in my mind I wanted to be doing the Americans instead, but I didn't. I mean, I got through them and I did a pretty decent job, and it wasn't torture, but it wasn't quite as fun as I thought it would be. And I just kind of, the only way I can describe it is I just wasn't really into it that much. I was doing it, but I wasn't really into it. So anyways, so I've been playing Germans, he's been playing Americans. Since then I bought some more Americans and painted them and really enjoyed that. That was really fun. I've done quite a few vehicles. There's some out here, some Germans, some Americans, and I enjoyed doing all vehicles. Vehicles are fun. So anyways, that's how we've been playing. And then just recently he threw a little monkey wrench into the works by deciding that he wants to try the Imperial Japanese Army. So he bought the 1,000-point Japanese Army starter set, as well as the, I don't know how many points it is, but it's about 40 Japanese, I forget what they call it. It's basically their version of the Marines. They call it the Naval Landing Force or something like that. So he bought those 2 Japanese sets and the Armies of Japan book. So now he's building Japanese, which means we're going to fight some Pacific theater stuff. So I can't bring my U.S. Airborne and Rangers and things like that, so I have to do some Marines. So this is cool. So now I'm doing Americans like I want to do. It's going to be fun, and he's doing the Japanese. We'll need a new board. He's talking about doing like an Iwo Jima style beach landing board, which coincidentally this might come into play. I got to get my guys on the beach somehow, and especially if they're taking tanks with them. So that'll be fun. So that's kind of where we're at right now with Bolt Action. We're not getting away from Europe. I'm sure we'll play European battles. I've got a lot of European scenery and buildings and stuff, but we're also going to try some tropical island kind of stuff with the Japanese versus the U.S. Marines. So that will be cool, I'm sure. All right, so I think that's about it. One last thing I want to talk about. It may be, I don't know if you might consider it a little political or not. So if you don't want to hear about it, stop here. The podcast is over. Keep on gaming. I did want to talk about something kind of horrible. Not kind of horrible. It was something horrible happened today in America. That's what I want to say. In the state of Virginia, there was a rally being held by what's called the alt-right, or white supremacists, neo-Nazis, Nazis, assholes, whatever you want to call them. They were holding a rally for whatever fucking reason. I don't know. I think they called it like a Restore America, or they had a catchy name for it, but it was basically a bunch of fucking racists having a party in the streets of Virginia. I can't remember the town name now. I'm blanking because I'm kind of angry about this. And it, as these things always do, when you've got fucking Nazis walking down the street carrying flags with swastikas on them, these things tend to get out of hand. They did get out of hand. There was a lot of violence. But in the end, one of the Nazis got in his car and mowed down a whole bunch of people, close as I can tell about 20. Killed one lady and sent about 20 more to the hospital, 5 of which are in critical condition. So the deaths could go up a little bit. I hope they don't, but they certainly could. So it was a shitty day in America today. And like I said, I don't talk politics much. I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a conservative, I'm not a liberal. I look at every single issue as it is and decide how I feel about it. I don't care what any party says. I don't care what any politician says. I'm not a follower. I think on my own. But one thing I have an opinion about and I draw a line on, and that's Nazis marching down the street in America. We fought a war over this shit. My grandfather fought the Nazis. 400 and something thousand Americans died in World War II, and a lot of that was in Europe fighting the Nazis. So if you think there's anything at all cool about Nazis marching down the street in America, in my opinion, you're fucking wrong. This is not cool. Now, I understand free speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of expression, but there's got to be a place where we can draw a line. The Germans have outlawed any displays of Nazi propaganda, swastikas, flags, uniforms. Anything Nazi related is outlawed in Germany. I think if they can do it, we can do it too. Because this shit can't stand. This is a hateful, hateful group of people. And I'm not saying they belong to a particular political party or not or whatever. They're just hateful people. And they're not doing anybody any good here in America. If I could ship them all out today, I would. That's not an option. But perhaps making the symbology, iconography, whatever it's called, the swastikas and the flags and things like that, perhaps making that shit illegal might put a damper on their activities. It's not going to make them change their mind. It's not going to make them change their stupid beliefs, but it might at least get them out of our faces. Our, meaning the good, decent people in America, the 99%. What I saw today, it just made me so angry on so many different levels. All I could think about while I was watching these people walk down the street with a fucking Nazi swastika on their flag and swastikas on their armbands, all I could think about was my grandfather took his ass all the way to Germany to fight these assholes. And now we've got these young, stupid white American males that think it's cool. The swastika's cool. It's not cool. It's hateful. It's homophobic. It's xenophobic. It's racist. It's anti-Semitic. It's a symbol of hate. There's no excuse for it. And that's just all I wanted to say on that. Alright, well, there you go. That's a happy ending to this podcast. I don't even know if I'm going to leave this in or not. But, yeah, it's a sad day in America today. But we wake up tomorrow and we go on again. So, once again, thanks a lot for watching, and keep on gaming. And don't hate people. It's just stupid.